Hey gang, thanks for tuning in to Travel Nursing with Trace. And today I had a friend ask me, is travel nursing stressful? They're thinking about going into travel nursing and they're not really sure whether they should leave their full-time job or not just because they're unsure of how stressful it is. And I think that travel nursing is no more stressful really than any other job where you're dealing with patient care, where you're worried about their safety and their care and their outcome. Don't let that hold you back from trying. One of the things that I find most stressful is just deciding which agency I'm going to work for. I suggest starting with 5 and work your way down to 3 that you can really trust and that you know is going to have your back. Finding a job, that can take some time too. It can take 2 or 3 weeks to really narrow down what you want to do and where you're going to do it. I don't normally take a job up north, but I'm in Nebraska. And what I mean by that is during the winter, I don't like to travel north. I don't drive well in ice or snow, and this was an exception, and it's been great. So I was really stressed about that, but there was no reason to be stressed. I think a lot of times we worry ourselves into a coma without really knowing whether, there's really anything to fear. And that's kind of the human spirit, I think. We don't try things because we're afraid. But what I would say is if you want to travel nurse and you have the ability to actually travel, then you should try it. You don't have to do it forever. Just get out there and give it a shot. I think you're going to find that the benefits far outweigh the stress or the fears that come with the position. Now, I'm an OR nurse. I work in the operating room. I'm typically the only one that's not scrubbed in aside from anesthesiology, and I have to run for everything. So I find that not knowing where things are on the unit can be a stressor. It can really be a stressor because I have to get to things very quickly sometimes if there's an emergency. So what I like to do to combat that is I like to show up on the unit even if I'm not getting paid, maybe the day before, 2 days before, and do a tour. It helps me out tremendously. Usually your hiring manager is more than welcome to have you come on, have someone show you around so you know where things are, take note. That way you can just kind of jump into it on day one when you do hit the unit after orientation, if there is one, and we'll get to that pretty soon. Another thing that stresses me out is not knowing the people that I'm going to work for or with. Sometimes you don't ever even get a chance to interview with your hiring manager before you start. And I kind of think that should be a given. I think you should get a call from your hiring manager just kind of give you a quick interview even though you already have the job, but it doesn't always happen that way and you just have to understand that. Sometimes they're meeting you on the first day when you show up. When you do show up, you may not know where you're going. That kind of stresses me out. So kind of pay attention to all the notes that you get from your agency. Pay attention to first day start information, which you usually get the Friday before you start a contract. That will help out a lot. And I just reach out to the hiring manager and ask questions like, are scrubs provided? Where do I park? Where do I go? Who do I meet? Those things all really help to know. Sometimes you just have to be proactive and be your own boss in that situation. Find out the information you're going to need on your own. I alluded to orientation earlier. Orientation can be a thing that you may or may not have. I think a lot of facilities will rush you through orientation just to say that, hey, we can check it off, we're done. Some facilities really do care about your orientation. They really care that you know what's going on. They care about their patient community, and they'll put you through an orientation that may last a week. And some of them will only put you through an orientation that's an hour long. That can be a little bit stressful, but you have to think, hey, I've gotten this far without this facility teaching me anything. I can do my job, I can do it well, and I can protect my patient. So you have to push those stressors away and rely on your skill. That's what's going to get you through. Anything else, just realize you're not the only one in that place. You're not the only one on the floor. You're not the only one in the ICU. You're not the only one in the ER. You're not the only one in the OR. You are part of a team, and if you have questions, there will be someone there that can help you. Another thing that can be very stressful, and I've experienced it many times, is what do you do at the end of a contract? How do you line up the next job? you need to work ahead of the game. You need to contact your agency or the agencies that you work with. Remember, I told you to pick 3 out of the 5 that you have chosen. Pick 3 of the best ones, have them start looking for something. That's how you get ahead of the game. That way you can line something up. You won't be out of work for too long if that's what you need. A lot of travel nurses, they'll do a contract and lay off for a month or 2 or 3 or whatever. It just depends on what your personal needs are. So that can be a stressor, not knowing where your next paycheck is going to come from. If you're going to leave travel nursing and maybe go back into a part-time or a full-time position, you have a little bit more of a problem getting in because facilities that are hiring core staff don't really want to talk to you if you have 13 weeks or 10 weeks or 8 weeks left on a contract. They want you to contact them when you get back. And sometimes it can be a little bit hard coming out of a contract and going back into a core staff position. So these things, you just need to consider that it takes time to transition from one job to another in agency and one job to another in core staffing. Another group that I find is very difficult sometimes to work with in my career field is the surgeon. They've seen people come and go. They like regularity. They like to know that the same thing is going to be done every single time. And when you have new people hitting the room that don't know their preferences, that can be a bit of a stressor. How I like to combat that is I like to meet with the surgeon that I'm working with, introduce myself, say thank you for having me in your room. I'm not familiar with how you do things, but if you'll just take an extra moment or 2 and show me how you like it, I'll make sure it happens every single time. I'm here for you, and I'm here for your patient. That usually breaks the ice and helps out tremendously. Anesthesiology, that's another group that I find to be stressing in my career, because working with an anesthesiologist is really like a drummer working with a bass player. You work very close, you kind of read each other, you know where you're going, and if you've never worked with that person before, you really have no idea what they're going to want. So again, the same conversation is had. Let me know what you need, I'll make sure you get it. Now, you're going to find that no matter what career field you work in, what branch of nursing you work in, just communication, I think, is the key. Just let people know that you're there to help, not to hinder. They've seen a lot of people before you, some great travel nurses, some not so great. And it's the not so great ones that really leave a bad taste in people's mouth. And you're coming in on the heels of maybe someone that wasn't so good. You have to really make up for that. You're hired to be there every day. You're hired to do a great job. You're hired to be competent. You're hired to be skillful. So just let people know what you can do for them and be there every single day, willing to do it. That helps a ton. Another thing that stresses me out, I think, honestly, is just the unknown, being uncomfortable, not knowing exactly what's going on. Sometimes you're working with a new electronic medical record that you've never worked before. And as you know, if you watched any of my other videos, I am a huge Epic fan. I love me some Epic. Be familiar with different EMRs. Go on YouTube.com. Hey, here we are right now, right? So look at different EMRs. Look at Cerner. Look at Meditech. Look at Epic. Kind of get an idea of how those things work to take that load off of you. When you start, it's just one less stressor. You're going to be that much closer to knowing how to do your job and doing it well, doing it efficiently. There are going to be stressors in this job. Any job you do, there's going to be stressors. But the thing is, benefits far outweigh the stressors that you're going to endure in your 8 or 13 weeks, however long your contract may be. Mine's 13 weeks right now. I know there are going to be moments of stress. I'm a professional. I can get through it, because at the end of that 13 weeks, I'm going to be able to go home with a pocket full of money, kiss my sweet wife, who I do miss when I'm away from home, hug my cat, who's a pain in the butt, see my grandkids, see my children, pay for things I need to pay, take a little time off at work, and just enjoy life, because now I have the money that I didn't have before I started the contract. Thing is, the benefits far outweigh the stressors that you're going to experience on a job. So just get out there and do your best job and make it happen, Captain. Thank you for tuning in to Travel Nursing with Trace. I really appreciate it. I'm very new to the YouTube video thing. As you can tell, I'm working on setting up my studio, making sure I've got great information and videos for you. What I'd like for you to do is understand that I'm learning. Please smash that subscribe button. Smash it hard, because it helps me get this information out to other people just like yourself. And if there's anything you want to see, please leave a comment. I promise you I'll get to the video for you. I want to cover the information that you need, that you find valuable. That's important to me, because if I get to that information, I can help you get out there and help you start taking care of the community that needs you the most. Like, share, subscribe, turn on that notification button. Ding ding. Thank you so much for tuning in to Travel Nursing with Trace. Happy travels.